So welcome. Today we're going to be talking about new user basics. And how to use the system. The link to the presentation is on the screen. It's go.ncdpi.gov/NCEES New Users 2026. So in this session, this is designed for new educators and support staff to explore the features and functionality of the North Carolina Educator Effectiveness System. Participants are going to gain foundational understandings of how to navigate the system. And the target audience is people who are new to NCEES, including educators and support staff. If you would like to receive CEU credit for today, we ask that you do register for that in NCEES. If you will, to register in NCEES, all you do is click the link that was provided to you in the chat. Then you click register for the course. Registration only takes place during the live session. So if you're watching this as a recording after, you will not have the option to get credit for this course. I'm just going to show you what happens. If you click the link in the chat, I went too far. Once you click, it's going to take you to this screen and you can see new user basics for educators and support staff. All you have to do is click the word register. This certain course is only available for general credit. So click general and then click next. And then there is an acknowledgement that says credit is only awarded to participants who attend the live session in real time. Partial attendance or watching the replay does not qualify for credit. And then you click register. After today's session is over, Jennifer and I will look at the attendance roster and we will check complete status for all who attended the entire time. And so where you'll find it is in NCEES, you will go to professional learning. From professional learning, you'll go to my professional learning and then click my courses. And right now it says registered, but if you stay through the whole event, it will say completed after that. So just wanted to show everybody how you get credit for that course. Once you click on the link, if you have not registered in NCEES, it'll prompt, or if you're not logged in, it will prompt you to log into NC Cloud and then register in NCEES. So my name is Donna Curry and I am the NCEES and OER product manager, and this is my email. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to follow up with me later, and I'll let Jennifer introduce herself.
Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Bass, and I am the NCEES consultant at DPI. So I handle all of the policy and procedure type questions with the evaluation system itself.
Great. So thank you again for joining us today. So our agenda today, we're going to talk about the different components of NCEES, how to access NCEES, policy eval 004 updates, requirements for educators, and then we're going to learn how to navigate the system, and then we're going to wrap it up. So let's talk about the components of NCEES. NCEES is composed of three parts. There's the plan part where you have your evaluation and you have your PDP. There's the PD part where you can log in and you can take professional development, just like I had you register for the course. You can also search for other opportunities. And then if your district opts in, they may also have access to PD Office, which is where they can create and manage their own learning opportunities and manage CEUs on their end. So there are three parts that do go to NCEES. How do you access NCEES? Well, accessing NCEES, you have to access it through NC Cloud. The very first time you log in, you will have to claim your account. And so NC Cloud is a single sign-on. And within that single sign-on, there's lots of different apps or websites that you can access or programs that DPI offers. And you will see here that once you get there, your username is going to be your 10-digit UID. You're going to click go after you enter that. If you've never logged in before, if this is your very first time and you're logging in to learn how to use the system, you will have to claim your account. You only have to do that once. Even if you change schools, you only claim your account once in your entire working through the state of North Carolina. If you forgot your password, if you forgot your username, or you need help, there's also some additional buttons here you can click. And then after you click those, then you can click on the NCEES icon right here. It's that blue peak that says Unified Talent. So you can click on that to access the system. You can just click on the blue P, or you can click launch. And not everyone has access to NCEES. Sometimes you have a budget code that does not allow you to access the system. And so in order to access your PSU does have to make sure that you have a budget code that provisions access. And Staff UID is the authoritative source for employee information. It's the authoritative source for NC Cloud, for NCEES, for NCEES, etc. Staff UID does get populated by payroll, and typically payroll uploads a file to the Staff UID system. Staff UID makes no determinations of its own. All data is input by those file uploads or by manual entry. Employees who work in multiple PSUs, like if you are supporting multiple schools, you may see multiple schools as long as you're supposed to, that's okay. If you have left a previous school and you are seeing your previous school and your new school, that is where you would need to reach out to your old school and ask that they make you inactive. Charter schools may handle this a little differently. Sometimes charter schools have someone else, like a third party, manage our payroll, and they upload information. And some charters don't use payroll at all to get information in the staff UID. They manually enter it. So if you work at a charter school and something's wrong, asking them to fix it in payroll might not be enough. You may have to ask them to fix it in payroll and the staff UID system. So I just want to talk to you about the budget codes that get into NCEES. So if you're not in NCEES or wonder where your role comes from or where your demographic comes from, on the NCEES home screen, there is an Accessing NCEES document. I do have this linked here. I just want to talk to you about the authoritative source and how information does get into the system. So first of all, if something is wrong with your account in NCEES, it all goes back to those authoritative sources. We don't enter information into the system. We get information that is entered by your PSU. So if your name is spelled wrong, your first name, your last name, your middle name, all of that either comes from a payroll file or is updated manually in staff UID. If your licensure information is wrong, NCEES, once again, does not manually add that licensure information. We get that from a file from LISAL. And if your email is wrong in NCEES, we get a file daily from the NCCIS. So if your email is wrong, that needs to be fixed in Infinite Campus. We do get a file from Infinite Campus every day with emails. And this just kind of lets you know the timeline of those processes that happen. You'll notice that most of these happen overnight with the exception of licensure. Licensure is always a day behind because our processes do happen around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So licensure is a day behind. But if something is wrong, this lets you know who to reach out to. So if you're not active in a location, then that goes to staff UID. If your last name is spelled wrong, that lets you know you need to go work with whoever manages the staff UID system or payroll. If your code is wrong, demographics, if you are worried about your demographics, maybe you're a media coordinator, but your demographics say teacher, once again, that goes back to your demographic code that is done in the staff UID system. And email, that does come from Infinite Campus. Locations, if you see wrong schools, that comes once again from the UID system. Your licensure cycle and your licensure expiration date, once again, all of that comes from the licensure system. We do not generate any of that data within NCEES. It all comes from outside sources. So if any of that information is wrong, that lets you know who you need to reach out to fix it. We can't fix that at the state level. Not all budget codes get into NCEES, only certain ones. These budget codes that are on page 4 are in the purpose of NCEES to either evaluate others or to be evaluated. And this is also will let you know your demographics in NCEES. So if you have a 121 budget code, it's going to come in as a classroom teacher. If you have a 133 budget code, it's going to bring you in as a school psychologist. All of those, once again, those demographics are tied back to your budget code. So page 4 of that document lists those roles that are either evaluated or evaluate others. Page 5 talks about people who are in NCEES only to take PD. We do have about 50,000 users in the system, and they say that their access is PD only. So if you do not see the My Evaluation tab and you don't see the Staff Evaluation tab, know that you are in NCEES with a PD only budget code, which means we don't have your evaluation type in our system. So you will not see those tabs. Even if your administrator tries to assign one for you, you will never see it because you don't see those tabs. And once again, that all goes back to how you're coded in payroll and the staff UID system. So just wanted to point that out. If you log in and you don't see certain things, that is why, because it all comes in that way. So that document just explains where information comes from, the authoritative source, and those budget codes that do get you into NCEES. Who has rights that are automatically assigned in the system? The only person who comes in with rights automatically assigned is the principal. The lead principal comes in as a site administrator, which means they're automatically made the evaluator to everyone in their location, and no additional rights have to be given to them. So they are the only one who come in with rights in the system. And I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer, who's going to talk about Policy Eval 004 updates.
Thank you, Donna. We did want to make sure that everybody knew about the updates to Eval 004, and it was updated by the school board on July 9th of 2026, and everything that they put in place became active immediately. On this screen right here, if you would like to look at the policy itself, it is linked there for you. So during the July meeting, all of the educator evaluation policy was updated. It has now been titled the North Carolina Educator Evaluation Process, where it used to just say teacher. As I said before, all of the changes that were approved became effective immediately. Um, the reason why these updates were made were because we had gotten a lot of feedback from LEAs asking for certain things. We wanted to also clarify the evaluation expectations that are in place and to ensure that everything was in alignment with the current statute and the administrative codes already. At the bottom of this page, you can see I have linked again the policy itself. I have also linked a slideshow that will go through what did the policy used to say and what changes have been made and what that means now. So if you want to take a look at those on your free time, we would love for you to do that, and they are there for you. If you have questions concerning policy later, my contact information is also at the bottom of the slide. So I'm going to talk with you just a little bit about what the policy changes mean to North Carolina educators. Now, the instructional support roles are included in policy eval 004. It used to be just teachers, and now all of our support roles have been involved into the system in eval 004. Educators with more than 3 consecutive years of employment with the local school board are now eligible to be assigned an abbreviated evaluation plan. Before, only teachers had the abbreviated plan available to them. The abbreviated plan requires that only 2 observations would happen throughout the year, and each one of those observations would be a minimum of 20 minutes, and it's just going to look at 2 standards rather than all 5. And the 2 standards for each one of the roles was chosen by a group of people. The consultant from DPI gathered a group of people, and they went through and they chose which 2 standards were going to be involved in each one of the abbreviated plans that we now offer. Also, if you have been hired with less than 120 days of your contract year, you can be placed on a late hire plan, and that has been added. We kind of operated that way, but it was not in policy before, and now it is. Also, our policy does not require that an educator be placed on a standard plan during their license renewal year, but we will reiterate it is best practice and it is included in many local district policies. I've also put some resources at the bottom of this slide that will show you the evaluation cycle requirements and the abbreviated plans, which standards for each one of those support roles were chosen by the group and the consultants. So you can take a look at that when you get a moment. As you can see, based on the changes that were made to eval 004, we have some new cycle requirements. This document used to be in existence, but we've changed it to reflect all of the changes. And as you can see, we have the 4 types of plans: comprehensive, standard, abbreviated, and late hire, with the definition across the top as to who has to be assigned each cycle type. So as you can see, comprehensive would be less than 3 years of a consecutive employment by the local board. So that would include teachers new to a district, even if they have experience, and beginning teachers or BTs. The standard cycle is assigned to people with more than 3 years of a consecutive employment by their local board, and the abbreviated is assigned to people who have more than 3 years of consecutive employment and there are no performance concerns. So you can be placed on that abbreviated if you have that 3 years. And then we also have the late hire over here, which says that if you are hired with less than 120 days of employment remaining on the contract year, you can be placed on the late hire. And this will show everything that is required for each cycle type. And you can take a look at that based on what standard type you are assigned to. Just some clarifications about our cycle requirements. Again, if you are employed fewer than 3 consecutive years by your local board, you will be placed on the comprehensive evaluation cycle. Educators that have 3 or more consecutive years of employment by the local board could be placed on comprehensive, standard, or abbreviated, and that is at their supervisor's discretion in accordance with the local policy. More observations than are required for the minimum can be conducted for any evaluation cycle. So if your supervisor decides that they would like to add in a peer observation or another observation to your observation cycle, they are able to do that. It is recommended, again, that all 5 standards, which would mean a comprehensive or a standard evaluation cycle plan, would be assigned to the educator during their license renewal year. And that would probably be a board policy locally, and that decision would be a local decision. These are the cycle options again, based on how many years you have been employed with the local board, which cycles you could be assigned. And this is linked for you if you would like to take a look at that later. So we do have some requirements for educators, and we wanted you to know what those resources were and to just talk you through just a little bit about what is required for each type of educator in the system itself. So we now have more rubrics that have been added to our system. Some of these rubrics, these are all the rubrics you're going to find located in the system that can be evaluated in the NCEES system itself. The teacher, the career development coordinator, the instructional technology facilitator, the school counselor, the school media coordinator, the school psychologist, the school social worker, and the teacher leadership specialist. All of these roles are in the system and are required to be in the system to be evaluated. Now, the following roles are in the system, but they are optional to use. The local board gets to decide if they're going to use the system or continue to use just the rubrics pencil paper. And those would be the nurse, the occupational therapist, the physical therapist, and the speech language pathologist. And remember, all of these roles now have an abbreviated option available if you have been employed for 3 consecutive years in your district. I just wanted to give you the link and show you the visual of the graphic that we use. This is the evaluation process cycle document that we use to explain and train how our evaluation cycle actually works for teachers. This one is specifically designed for teachers, and I will go ahead and say this has not completely been updated at this point because we just got evaluation eval 04 policy updated, and some of these things will change slightly, but the one that you see isn't updated yet. But if you have been through any training with us, we do point out where the changes happen, which is usually mostly in component 5. We have the same document that is geared towards our instructional support roles. It's very similar to the teacher, and this also will have to be updated based on Eval 004 updates. But again, it mostly concerns component number 5, the observation, and who is eligible for what type of cycle. So look to that for those to be updated, but we did want you to know where they were. Also, a big part of our cycles are the professional growth plans. We do have 3 types of PDPs. They are the individual, the monitored, and the directed. And I always like to explain just who would be on what type of PDP and how that gets decided. For our individual PDP, that is given to new educators because they don't have any summative data from the year before. And any educator who is rated proficient on all of the standards on their summary rating form are placed on the individual PDP. And what that means is the educator gets to set their goals for growth. They're going to continue to meet with the administrator and check in 3 times during the year to check progress on that PDP. Any educator who is rated developing on 1 or more standards on the summary rating form would be placed on a monitored PDP. And that means the administrator and the educator meet together to discuss and set their goals, but you still check in on the PDP goals 3 times per year. Any educator who is rated not demonstrated on any standard on the summary, or they have scored developing on one or more standard for 2 sequential years would be placed on the directed PDP. And this means that the administrator sets the goals for the educator based on the observations and documentation. And again, you're going to meet and check in the system 3 times on the PDP goals for all 3 types. Now, the PDP process is a part of that BOY process. It is kind of contained within the training orientation and the self-assessment piece. And you're going to enter your goals into the PDP in that section of the system itself. And Donna, I think, is going to show you that later. But keep in mind, your PDP type that you were assigned is based on how you performed in your last year's summatives, what those scores look like. And the principal will assign the PDP type to you in the beginning of the year along with your plan type. Your goals can be discussed at the end of the year when you have your summative conference and you've gotten your scores and you know where your strengths and maybe your areas of growth may lie. You can go ahead and discuss what your goals could be, even type into the system, but you would have to go back in. They don't save to the next year. So you would have to go and cut and paste those into your goals for the beginning of the year when you start your PDP for the new school year. PDP types can be changed throughout the year based on teacher growth needs, and goals can be added throughout the school year if that becomes necessary. So I'm going to turn it back over to Donna.
Okay, so let's go ahead and let's learn how to navigate the system and what you're going to see as you actually get into NCEES. So once you get in, the first thing you're going to notice in NCEES is we have what we call the banner at the top. And there's some things in the banner you can click on. If PowerSchool decides they want to send out a notice, you'll see that little megaphone, and that is a vendor notice. That's not North Carolina specific, but it could be a vendor update to the system. You'll also notice that there's an envelope up here, and that envelope, if there's a number on that envelope like you see down here, that is going to let you know that a message has been sent either like at the state level or either by a site or district administrator within your PSU. If you have a number and you hover over it, it'll let you know what message it is, and you can click on it. You can see read messages, unread message, or you can view all messages that are still active in the system. You'll also see this calendar. A lot of people don't use calendars. That's something that used to be used a lot, but most people don't use them. But if anything has been tagged to a calendar or been given a specific date, like training for, you'd see that on the NCEES calendar. Also, there's vendor help guides that you can access. We do have our own help guides in the system that are more specific for us, but you're welcome to check out the vendor help guides. And then you can also click on your initials. And once you click on your initials, you will be able to see your profile. And the profile will let you see that if you have any badges or credentials. It also lets you be able to see your email and your location. It just allows you to see your additional user details. Below the banner, you're going to see that we have the NCEES home screen. And on the NCEES home screen, first thing you're going to see is that welcome section. So we have the welcome section, and that's a resource site where you can go in and you can look at your policy and your manual for your rubrics, whatever you're evaluated on. You can go and read that. All of those screenshots that Jennifer showed with those graphics would be found there. There's guide for site and district administrators. How I explained to you the authoritative source for NCEES, that is that information. We also have NCEES bulletins we send out once a month. They are linked here. And then there's a how-to and troubleshooting guide. If something goes wrong, you might be able to look there and find out how to help. In addition to getting announcements in the envelope at the top, there's also a My Announcements tab on the first home screen. And then we also have our training opportunities that are linked here as well. So I am just going to stop for just a second and go to the live site, and I'm going to show you the home screen. So depending on your rights will depend on what you see. The majority of people will see what I have shared on this screen. Like I said, these are those sites that we just talked about. And then we have these training opportunities. So while we're here, I just want to go ahead and click on this training opportunities for 26-27. You will see here that this training opportunity that we are in right now is linked. After today, that link will be gone. But you'll see we have another more in-depth training opportunity that we're going to do on August 27th. And that's going to be beginning of the year for educators evaluated in NCEES. Today is really just surface level, teaching you how to use the system, those basics of logging in, what you're going to see. And this is going to dig a lot deeper into your evaluation plans, the process, and how you do those things in the system and policy and best practice. So if you would like to sign up to join us on August 27th, we would love to have you. And then once the trainings are over, you'll see over here on the left, we will link those presentations and the recording after. So you'll be able to go back and review those later. I just wanted to point that out. And if we decide to offer any additional opportunities throughout the year, they will be linked there. And then new this year, we also have instructional support training opportunities where you can click here. And we've already had a few of these happen this year. But if you're in this call or you're watching this later and you happen to be a social worker, we have a training coming up for you. If you're a school counselor, a psychologist, a teacher leadership specialist, a career development coordinator, teacher. And so we have those trainings coming up. Also, we have this coming up for people in those roles and those who evaluate those roles. And you can look at the trainings we've already had. If you'd like to go back and revisit those, you have the option. As long as the link's there, you can sign up for those. And like I said, we do remove the link after the training has happened. But we do try to keep that NCEES home screen updated with information that is helpful for you. Also, I want to just talk a little bit more about this resource site. That was that very first bullet that you have. It is linked there. We also have it linked here. This is where you're going to be able to go and you're going to be able to look at your particular role and find out more about your role. So if you are a teacher, you can click here. If you're support staff, you can click here. I'm just going to click on the teacher one. They're all arranged very similarly. This is where you can see all the policies, and this is where you can go see your procedures, and this is where you can find additional resources. You can find your manuals. You can find the comparison chart. So, and you can see how you might be evaluated versus how someone else is evaluated, because those evaluations do look differently. And that goes back to those extra training we talked about for different roles. So these do look different for different people, but we just wanted to show you how to access that. And you're welcome to look at that anytime you would like and click it through all of those links to look at that. I already clicked on that training and orientation. Just want to make sure we point that out again. We do training and orientation pretty much all year long. And even if we have face-to-face events, we'll add those there as well. Just share it with you again, where I showed you what I just saw when I logged in. If you are a person who is in the system for PD only, remember that is so you're in the system just so you can take professional learning or professional development. And when you log in, this is what you would see. These are the only tabs you would see. So professional learning, credentials, help guides, my courses, and NCEES history. The NCEES history is if you were ever in a role where you were evaluated in NCEES, you can go back and see your previous evaluations. So once again, you may see something different depending on your role. The professional learning dashboard, I showed you that briefly was when we first got started. I do want to kind of focus on that a little bit more right now. So there are trainings that are offered to you in the professional learning dashboard. And you have the dashboard where you can see certain buttons. There's even one that shows you how to access your transcript and certificate, how to go to the NCEES course catalog and register for courses, how to see your courses. And then depending on your different rights, you may see different things. There's also transfer credit guides. But before you use transfer credit, always make sure that your district does use that. Not all districts use the transfer credit part of the system. If you take a course and you don't see it on your transcript, check this My Surveys container. If there is a course you take that requires a survey and you've not done that, it will not appear on your transcript. So if you see anything in this box, that means you do need to complete that. Once you do click on that professional learning dashboard, you can go to, excuse me, didn't mean to click that. You will see here that you have a catalog. And once you click on the catalog, this is grid view. So if you want to look grid view, you could. You're welcome to come in here, search by subject, search by date, search by training opportunities. There's lots of different filters you can add. And then you can go through courses if you need to take training. Maybe this is your licensure cycle renewal year and you need to take courses. You will see courses that are offered by DPI. And then if your district uses that third component of NCEES, the PD office part, you'll also see trainings offered by them. If you find a course you like, you can click register. That's if you're looking in grid view, it'll look like this. If you have it in list view when you go to the course catalog, in order to see the register button, you do have to click that little arrow. Once you click that arrow, it'll drop down and then you will see the register option. So just depending on if you do list view or you do grid view. And as you're looking through the catalog, you can always pin courses to look at later. You just click that little pin and then you can show pin courses later. It's kind of like putting them in the cart, but you're not buying them yet. So if you just want to do a quick glance and see what's available to you, you can do that. Once you do go in and you take courses, you can go to My Courses. If the course is complete, it'll show you complete or it'll either show you registered. If the course is housed in Canvas, then when you click view again will allow you to go back in and access the materials at a later date. Or if you're not finished, it'll allow you to go in and complete those courses. So let's just look, pardon me, in NCEES at professional learning, and then let's go to catalog and then course catalog. This is where, like I said, you can come in, you can search for courses by name. So maybe you're deciding, and I'm in a training account, so I may not see a lot. I'm just going to see what I can find. If you come in and you see courses listed that you like, you can click, like I said, either the grid view where you can see the word register or list view, and you click the drop down to register. Once you see a course you like, you just click the word register. If there's an option for credit type, and sometimes there is, you can pick and choose between the two. Sometimes there's just one, and then you click the word register. You can click view to immediately go into the course, or if you're logging into NCEES later from the home screen, you just click professional learning. You won't go to the catalog anymore. You'll go to the My Professional Learning, My Courses. Then you'll be able to see the courses. Clicking view again will take you immediately into the course, or it will allow you to go back or to start it or go back and review it. If you realize after you get in a course it wasn't what you expected and it's not going to meet your needs, you're welcome to just click the three dots and then you can withdraw from the course and it will remove it. It's going to, kind of make sure that's really what you want to do, and then you can remove. Any courses that you have completed that are old, that are no longer open, you may look and see those in past courses. And then sometimes your evaluator will recommend or required courses for you, and you would see those under these two columns. But just because they recommend or required doesn't mean that you've registered. You would still have to click on those and register. So if you need a free PD and you need NCEES, please check that out. And then after today, to get to your transcript, that is going to be, and I don't have a completed course yet, but once you, excuse me, I clicked too fast. You would go to My Professional Learning, My Courses, and then you would see, I went too far back. You can click on My Transcript, and then after you click on My Transcript, then in the certificate number column, you can click on the number, and that will actually take you to a certificate that is created from your course. And then if your district uses something other than NCEES to manage their CEUs, once you click on that certificate number, that will allow you to turn that into whatever system that they may need. So as soon as you click on that little blue hyperlink, it will create that certificate for you. Also, moving over, so we talked about the home screen, we talked about professional learning. If your district has opted in, you may see some credentials, and that's like micro credentials and badging. So if your district has opted into that, you may see some there. But then you're going to see the My Evaluation tab. Once you get to the My Evaluation tab, you're going to be able to see what plans have been assigned to you. If there is nothing there, it means a plan has not yet been assigned, and that would be reach out to your evaluator to ask about plans. I'm just going to show you what that looks like. So I am impersonating a user. If I go to the My Evaluation tab, I can see that I have been assigned an abbreviated plan and a professional development plan. All you would have to do is, once a plan is assigned to you, is first of all, let's read this important information. Once again, if you're missing plans, you'll only see them after the administrator has assigned them to you. Verify your location. If you are connected to the wrong location, do not start your plan. You need to reach out to your administrator about correcting that. If you start your plan now and then your location is corrected later, you're going to lose all of your data. The data will not save. So we don't want you to have to do information twice. But once again, it will erase all of your progress and you're going to have to start over. So if you see a wrong location, immediately reach out and verify that your rubric matches your role. We talked about this, Jennifer talked about all of these plan types that we have in the system. Every one of these has their own rubric. So career development coordinators have rubrics, ITF, school counselors. And then the self-assessment should also match that same rubric. So I'm going to show you how to log in. You go to the abbreviated, or go to, once again, current evaluations, click start plan. And the first thing you'll do when you start your plan is you go to training and orientation. And you're going to put the date you received your training and orientation. And this is where you can see your location. So I'm in training school number 1. So if this is the correct place, I'm okay. If it's not, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to move forward in the process at all. I'm going to reach out to my administrator and tell them that my location is wrong. If your location is correct, you're welcome to click here to review the rubrics and the policy. We already showed you how to get that from that bullet on the first tab, but you just click edit. Click the day that your training actually happened, and then just click save and exit, and then mark complete. So now you're going to have a green check. So the other thing that you're going to have to do is go to my evaluations and then start your professional development plan. Once again, this does need to match the rubric that you have been assigned. I'm going to click start plan. I'm going to go to self-assessment. And you can see here that I'm a career development coordinator. So mine says career development coordinator. If yours does not match your current role, once again, please reach out to your administrator. We don't want you to start something that has to be corrected later. So, and then if it is correct, you just click start new. And then in order to fill out your self-assessment, you just evaluate yourself. Even if you are assigned an abbreviated plan, the self-assessments always have all 5 standards. So you will see here that this person is actually named abbreviated. They're assigned an abbreviated plan, but if you'll notice, they do have all 5 standards listed. So, but that would not be that way when your evaluator comes to evaluate you. You would complete all of this, check something for everything. You would save and exit. And then in the drop down, you would choose to either share this with your administrator. It's not required, but it is recommended to share your self-assessment with them. And then after everything has at least one checkbox per row, then you'll also have the word to say finalize, and you can finalize this and then be able to move along with the next part of the process. And then this is where you would go into your initial review. You can't open that until that's completed though. So just wanted to show you that. And then what are you going to see? And depending on your plans, there's different required activities. So, and you may be assigned a standard, an abbreviated, a comprehensive. You may be assigned the nurse, OT, PT, SLP. Whatever plan type you're assigned, you will see some activities are required, some are not. For this particular one, you'll see there's observation 1, 2, and 3 in a summary, which means this one could be standard or comprehensive. And if you're on a comprehensive plan, you have to have a peer observer. So making sure that you do have a peer observation happen. If you're on the comprehensive plan, your evaluator will not be able to open the summary evaluation until that peer observation has been completed. The PDP, this is what your PDP is going to look like. You start on that self-assessment, then you'll see you have the initial review, the mid-year review, the end-of-year review, and then you can go look at all of your activities, which will have timestamps when things happen. Everybody will have the option to have a mentor for every part of this. It is not a required field. So if you are not a beginning teacher and your administrator does not require you to have a mentor, everybody sees the spot, but is not going to stop you from moving forward in the system. So just know that you may or may not have a mentor assigned to you, but if you're a beginning teacher, you should have a mentor assigned to your PDP. Also, everyone is going to see help guides. Everybody has help guides for their plan, and the whoever is evaluating you will have a help guide that goes along with your plan. Let's go look at one of the help guides. And they're all set up similarly. So I'm going to go to help guides. Let's say, pretend that I am assigned a comprehensive plan. You'll see there's one for your educator and one for your evaluator, and they do complement each other. So I'm just going to click on the one for the educator. And so you can see here, you can click their hyperlink. It's going to tell you the primary audience, the purpose of the document. It's going to remind you of some notes, like, once again, check your location. Can't tell you how important that is to make sure your location is correct. And then to get started, you can just click here. It'll take you directly down to where that is in the plan. And there are screenshots with directions on how to progress through each thing. So then when it's time for you to go do observation number 1, once again, you can click that bookmark, and it's going to tell you what you need to do, and it's going to tell you what your evaluator needs to do. So it'll say, like, the evaluator will complete the rubric. So if it's not a step for you, it'll tell you who needs to do that. So once again, for every plan type, we do have that. We have it for the observable plans, those evaluation plans, and we also have that for the PDP. So you have plans for all of those. So just find the one that is relevant for you that you need to see. Okay, and so we are now just kind of finishing up. We do want to make sure that you give us feedback. We do try to look at that every time. We looked at that before, the questions you gave us before we started today. We wanted to make sure that we answered your questions. I think we did, but if you would give us feedback, we always look to try to grow. And if you'll make sure you choose this topic, because we are doing a lot of training now, but if you click on that feedback form, it's going to take you to the screen. You would choose 820, new user basics, educators and support staff new to NCEES. Strongly agree is on the left, so just like to make sure I point that out. Sometimes people see those on plans reduced, and then if you'll just fill that out, we will not know who fills that is anonymous. So if you have specific questions, please reach out to Jennifer and I so we can help. And if you have any questions after today, Jennifer and I will be happy to help you. You have our email information, and we'll be happy to support you in the process. But once again, thank you for joining us today. We are happy that you came.